Night fell heavy over the river Jabbok. Jacob stood alone. Behind him were his wives, his children, his servants, everything he owned and had worked for his entire life. But ahead of him waited something far more terrifying than any enemy he had ever faced. Esau, his twin brother, the brother he had betrayed, the brother whose birthright and blessing he had stolen so many years ago, the brother who had once sworn to kill him. 20 years had passed, but time doesn't always heal all wounds. Jacob sent everyone he loved across the river first. This wasn't an act of bravery. It was an act of raw fear. He was sending them ahead, hoping they might appease his brother's wrath, hoping to create a buffer between himself and the consequence of his actions. As the last footsteps faded into the darkness, Jacob was finally, truly alone. Alone with his past, his fear, and his guilt. The wind whispered through the trees, sounding like old accusations. The water of the Jabbok rushed beside him, a relentless reminder of the time he couldn't rewind, the choices he couldn't undo. The air grew thick with tension, and that's when someone stepped out of the darkness. There was no warning, no introduction, just hands, grabbing him with the strength of iron, pulling him into a struggle for his life. Jacob reacted instantly. He had been a wrestler his entire life. He wrestled his brother in the womb. He wrestled for his father's blessing. He wrestled with his uncle Laban for his wives and his wages. His name, Jacob, even meant supplanter or heel grabber. So he fought. He fought like a man who had everything to lose and nothing left to hide behind. He slammed into the dirt, a whirlwind of motion. They rolled through dust and sharp stones. A desperate, silent battle. It was breath against breath, sweat and blood mixing together and soaking into the earth. Jacob didn't know who this attacker was. A demon. One of Esau's men. He only knew one thing for certain. This being would not let him go. Hours crawled by. The moon arced across the sky. The entire night stretched on, filled only with the sounds of their struggle. Neither of them spoke a single word. It was a fight that went beyond the physical, a battle for his very soul. Then, just as the first hints of dawn began to touch the horizon, the stranger reached out with a single, precise touch and struck Jacob's hip. Pain, white-hot and blinding, exploded through his body. His leg gave way. All his strength, all his lifelong skill at wrestling, vanished in an instant. Jacob collapsed, his body broken and screaming in agony. But even as he fell, his hands refused to release their grip. He clung to the stranger, his knuckles white. The fight was over, but the encounter was not. The stranger spoke for the first time, his voice calm and steady. "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob, trembling, broken, and hanging on with everything he had left, whispered the words that would define the rest of his life, the words that came from the deepest part of his soul. "I will not let you go unless you bless me." A profound silence fell between them. Then the stranger asked a simple question, a question that cut right to the core of Jacob's identity. "What is your name?" And for the first time, Jacob said his own name without it being part of a lie or a deception. He answered honestly, "Jacob." "Heel grabber. Deceiver." The stranger then replied, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men, and you have overcome." In that moment, the truth hit Jacob like a tidal wave. This was no man. This was no angel. He had been wrestling with God himself. eye and terror filled him. Jacob pleaded, "Please, tell me your name." But the stranger didn't answer. He simply blessed him there. And then, as the dawn broke fully over the horizon, he was gone. Jacob was left there, limping, shaken to his core, and forever changed. He named the place Peniel, which means face of God, saying, "I have seen God face to face, and yet my life was spared." When the sun rose, Jacob walked to meet his brother Esau. He wasn't running anymore. He wasn't hiding. He was limping, forever marked by his encounter with the divine. He went forward, not as Jacob the deceiver, but thus Israel, a man who had wrestled with God and lived to tell the tale. Sometimes, God doesn't answer our prayers with gentle words. Sometimes, He meets us in our darkest night, on the edge of our greatest fear. Sometimes, He wrestles with us, not to break us, but to remake us. Not to destroy us, but to change our name. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it.